Okay, so our very first speaker is Dr. Lizzy Bernthal. She's one of our members, and we call this Connect to Me. It's a slot that all of our members get an opportunity to take, and it's our chance to really get to know them. So that's why we record it, because then if anybody's missed this session, they can go onto the platform and they can see Lizzy's explanation of who she is, what she stands for, what's important to her, what she loves, and also for her to share some of her talent with us as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen because she will probably want to share hers. Okay.
Hi, everyone.
There you go. Go for it, Lizzy. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi. So thank you so much, Jill, for having me here. And I'm really excited. And right, having had the calmness of James, I'd like us all to stand up and get some energy. So if you can stand up, doesn't matter if your head disappears. And I want you to move around just a little bit and just imagine you're Superman, Superwoman, just like standing tall, because that's how you become awesome. Okay? And now you can sit down. Brilliant. You've got a stand-up desk. So have I. I've got a cardboard box at the moment, but I am getting a stand-up desk. So just to let you know, who am I and why am I here and all this sort of stuff. So after 25 years in the army to Lieutenant Colonel as a nurse and a midwife, I left the army 3 years ago. And I'm on a mission to get rid of toxic leadership, not through getting rid of toxic leaders, although that's what we want to do, but by empowering leaders to be the best version of themselves, to be enlightened, confident, and absolutely find their voice so they can soar. And in doing so, they can help their team soar. So there's no place for toxic leadership. And also as part of that, have their vision and their purpose. And I also help leaders do the same and businesses do the same, so that businesses are all values driven. So I'm just going to share my screen a minute. I've only got a couple of slides, so don't worry, I'm not going to give you a whole auto tribe. So can you see that? Yep. Yep, brilliant. Okay. So the reason I got you to do that jigging and moving about is this research has stated that Harvard did some research which said that actually they had two groups of people. One group were put confidence, empowered, those sort of positions, and the other group was all crunched up. Because when we're in fear, we tend to all curl up in a ball. Now, it could be sitting on our desk, wherever it is. So in 2 minutes, the group that were like confident, empowered, they were all, their stress hormones went down by 20% and their feel-good hormones went up by 20%. And that is the opposite in the group that was all stressed. So it just highlights that just how we hold our bodies has a massive impact on our confidence. So that is tip one. You actually, how you hold your body does impact on how confident you feel and how confident you are. So I'm just going to share some tips here that I have learned in my journey about confidence and how you can be the best version of yourself. So where did it start? Well, it actually didn't. Obviously, it started way before this particular moment. So if I take you back to April 2015, I was working as a researcher. I'd set up an academic department, the first academic department for nursing in defence. I was still serving, and I had a tricky boss. The tricky boss, often I felt undermined, and I didn't realise at the time that I was really playing small because I was too scared to play big because I felt I was just going to be crushed down. However, outside work, when I was elsewhere, I was global head of nursing. I was speaking around the world, empowering people with my talk, my presentations, and actually was living the best life when I was out of the office. But this is where the tall and the small kind of came in. I'd been working on a research project for 2 months. The night before our monthly meeting, which I used to absolutely dread because I never wanted to speak up, he sent out an email, which I found out, which had completely undermined all the work I've been doing for the last 2 months. I'm not normally an angry person, but that got me, absolutely got me. So I decided that I was going to say something at the meeting. I told my colleagues that I was going to say something, but when he started speaking at the meeting, I just lost it. And I stood up and I said, enough is enough. No more. I've had enough. And everybody looked at me because that was not my normal behavior. And I very confidently and calmly explained why I was angry. That was a defining moment for me, because that's the first time I had really stood tall. Everybody around the table looked at their papers. All those people that were there to support me just vanished, which made me even more, I had to find their voice, because if they weren't prepared to speak for them, I had to speak for them. And at that point, I decided no more toxic leadership. I was on a mission. And then I knew I was leaving the army, and then I decided to set up my business. But if I take you back where it all started, I was born at 28 weeks. Now, I don't know if you can see that. That is my little cardigan that my mother gave me when I went home from hospital. And I decided, although obviously I didn't realise I decided, at that point I had a 5% chance of survival. I didn't think of statistics. I was going to survive. And I'm convinced that that was my determination to succeed from that moment on, no matter what was thrown at me, whatever situation I was in. So as leaders, we all have choices. And the next choice I'd like to talk about is when I went to Afghanistan in 2012. Now, when I went to Afghanistan, I knew I had to go. I had a team to lead. I was going out, I was responsible for the healthcare of 6,000 military personnel as part of head of a team for clinical and safety effectiveness. If I didn't go, somebody else would have to go in my place. And I went. And I was standing on the tarmac thinking, am I irresponsible mother? But I knew I had to go. Now, where that came in, on that plane, as we got on that tarmac and got on the plane, I was aware that out of the 300 on that plane, 50 would not be returning. And of the remaining of those of us left on the plane, another 50 would come back so severely injured their life was changed forever. But I knew that wasn't going to be me, because I had a job to do. I was in charge of health. But as we were coming to land, we had to put our body armor on, we had to put our helmets on, the plane went pitch black. And at that point, I knew what courage was. Not courage for us on the plane, but the courage of the pilot that had to fly in and fly out of Afghanistan 10 times a week, not knowing if it was his last. So what if you are doing as leaders to show courage? Because I guarantee you're showing courage every single day, particularly during this pandemic, where you've suddenly moved your businesses online, you're saying hello to people, how are you, when you don't know what the outcome is. So another event which really taught me compassion and collaboration. Before I joined the army, I had another life-learning experience. I was in an avalanche. And I was covering healthcare, and I prepared as much as I could, but I have to say, avalanche was not on my list. It was a sunny day, and suddenly there was a rumble, and the whole mountainside came shooting down on top of us. And I thought, wow, that's it. And ironically, I wasn't scared at all. I was just annoyed that I thought my parents might not see my photographs. Anyway, I shouted out people's names and they all replied. But in that process, one of the porters got severely injured. Now, at the time in Nepal, we were out there on trekking, and the Sherpas, they just saw the porters as just commodities that took our kit. And when I said this guy needs to see urgent medical care, they just said, don't worry, we'll find you another porter, we'll give you a lunch in a minute. And I said, no, This is nothing to do with that. We need to get him medical care. And I had to fight so hard to get him medical care by escorting him to the hospital and making sure he got some treatment. But as part of that, all of us that were going on this trek, we all worked together to support him, to make sure that he got the care he needed. So we've already talked about Collaboration Global and this amazing organization, but you cannot have collaboration without compassion. So it's really important as leaders that we show compassion and we work together. The other thing I've learned is creating opportunities. Now, by creating opportunities, we can get rid of those chains that keep us small. Now, I've had some great opportunities in my life, and I always had this philosophy that if you haven't got an opportunity there, then you create it. Now, I was awarded a PhD. Now, at the time, no nurses were doing PhDs in the army or defence, only the doctors, and I felt that was totally wrong. So I put up a case to do a PhD. And as part of that, I studied the impact of military life on the family, because I felt that was another group of people that really didn't have a voice. And it was wonderful when I left the army that I'd created a legacy without even realizing it, of nurses were then funded annually for one nurse a year to do a PhD. So what I'm saying here is that actually by creating opportunities, we create them for others. And as leaders, it's so important that we leave a legacy. So what opportunities are you creating for your teams and for yourself and for showing others what is possible? Because as leaders, if we want to inspire others, we ironically have to inspire ourselves first and then stand tall. And in doing that, we get rid of those chains of holding us back and staying small. Because then if it's part of our purpose, then we have no idea where it's going to lead us. We all need cheerleaders as well. So Collaboration Global, under the awesome leadership of Jill, is an incredible cheerleading organization. Not in terms of like, as in America, my daughter's just gone to Florida, as in terms of like throwing people up in the air, but actually who is fighting your corner? Because as leaders, we should fight the corner of every single member of our team. And as entrepreneurs, we are leaders of ourselves first, so we can lead our clients. So you don't have to be CEO of a global organization to be a leader. As a parent, you're a leader. As a friend, you're a leader. So who are you supporting, but also who can you go to in order to get that support when you're having those low moments? So have a think about who your cheerleaders are. Who would you like them to be? Because this is a fantastic organization whereby if you haven't got a cheerleader, I guarantee you'll have a huge number of cheerleaders in this group. So it's really important that we celebrate. So what are you doing today that actually has really something to celebrate? Because over the last 18 months, it's been a real rough ride for so many of us. And it doesn't have to be that you've had, you know, really hope that you haven't had any be seriously sick or you've had to suffer too many bereavements over the last 18 months. But you don't have to celebrate. You don't have to have experienced something really bad and actually celebrate, even if it's like somebody made you a cup of coffee. Having gratitude sets you up in that higher vibration. And in order to be a leader, it's really important that we notice the energy that we're portraying. And even if we're having those down moments, and we all have those down moments, that's the time to get our body moving and actually get going to up our energy. So have a think about what little thing today, and I'd love you to put it in the chat. What little thing today are you celebrating that you might not have thought about before? It could be that you cleared your inbox. It could be that you didn't get soaked when you went to work, if you're going to work. Something really simple that you would not have actually thought of before. But also have a think about what you're doing today that's going to have an impact on next week and next month. So as leaders, this is just a very small tip of a very small number of tips to share about leadership in my eyes. But to summarize, we always have a choice. Even if you don't see it as a choice, you have a choice. You all have more courage, I guarantee, than you've ever thought you do. You don't have to have courage as in going to Afghanistan. You can have courage in every minute of every day. Compassion, believing in others more than you believe in yourself, but actually that self-care for yourself as well, of not being judgment, criticism or comparison of yourself or others. Creating those opportunities, being your own cheerleader, and just celebrate. And obviously, you know, this is the way that you can look forward with excitement and just do what it takes. So there you go. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, darling. That was amazing. Let me just take the view.
And I know that Jill wanted some time for questions, which is why I made it a little bit shorter, or sort of like time to summarise. So
hang on, let's go back to gallery so we can see everybody. First of all, let's just give a little round of applause. Jazz hand if you want to. But yeah, that was amazing. You've got all the C's in there. Did you do that?
Oh yeah, I forgot the other thing. I meant to say when I went to celebrate, you know, these are my medals. But what medals have you got?
Yeah. Well, me personally, nothing as wonderful as that. I've got a 25-yard certificate for swimming. That's about my only, but plus a few other bits along the way. But we have choice, courage, compassion, create opportunity, be your own cheerleader, and celebrate. So fantastic. I mean, would anybody like to either ask Lizzy a quick question? We've got a few minutes to go, 2 or 3 minutes, or just raise your hand if you want to ask a question, or possibly tell her what you're celebrating today.
And I'm just writing my book, thanks to Jill. Stand Tall, No Longer Small, and I've got free workshop coming up, and I do group to group and one-to-one coaching.
All right, so later on we'll give you those links that Lizzy's just told you about if you're interested in connecting with her, and you can just click on the link and it'll go straight through to all her bits and pieces that she does. That's fantastic. Thank you, Lizzy. Any questions? I'm quickly looking through everybody. Wave at me if you want to ask Lizzy anything. Yes, Leo. Oh, hi, Leo. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Hi there. I was thank you very much for the talk, Dr. Lizzy.
Always Lizzy, don't worry.
Okay. I was interested in when you took that moment to stand up against the more the sort of like negative style of leadership. What were there any sort of like, was that a catalyst? That sounded like a catalyst within yourself. Did you have other people approach you around that time was there a ripple effect, or was there things that, or was it more sort of slowly over time? I just wondered if it was a dramatic thing, like all of a sudden, or like a slow sort of change.
Yeah, I think what was interesting, what I didn't go into too much detail because of the time, it was up to that point, I felt inadequate. And what I was doing, I was leading a double life, because when I was outside the office, as I did allude to a little bit, when I was outside the office, I was global head of nursing. I was traveling around the world. I was sort of like the best version of myself, as it were. As soon as I came back to the office, I felt small. I felt intimidated. And I was going through this conflict in my head, thinking, well, which is the real one here? Maybe I'm complete fraud when I'm out there, you know, the whole imposter syndrome stuff, that when I'm on the stage presenting, maybe that's just a fake me, and the real me is a scared really little child. And so and it was interesting. I think it was it was just a kind of a moment that just suddenly came. I thought, right, no more, I've had enough. Before that, I'd been bullied by someone else, actually. And at that point, that's when I found coaching. And this is, I forgot to put that into the discussion, but having a coach really helped me significantly, because before that, I thought it was just me. And then once I had some coaching, I acknowledged that actually that wasn't necessarily me, it was actually him. And so once I'd had the coaching to realize that I almost felt a sort of a duty for other people to stand tall so that actually they didn't have to go through what I'd been through. So it was, but the defining moment was when I felt completely undermined. All my work that I've been working 59 days to do at his request was for nothing overnight. And at that point, I just snapped. And actually, it was interesting. Before that, somebody said to me, there will come a moment when you'll just snap. And I said, no, I can't. It's too scary. I couldn't do that. And that moment came, and it was a defining moment for the rest of my life. Because at that point, I thought, right, enough, no more. I will never let anybody go through what I've been through.
And I'm interested as well. I'm sort of in my head, I'm making the generalization that the office was a more patriarchal, misogynistic environment. There was something there that was intimidating you, that made you, switch that personality. So you were a different you, where you were sort of like coping with the other situation, which we all do as human beings, I think. Anyway, we all adapt to situations, and we can sort of like be a little bit chameleon to fit in with different situations. Is that generalization that is going on in my head? Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, that absolutely was true. Yeah, I mean, I had an amazing career. So there's just a couple of individuals. So please don't think that disparages the army per se.
Sure.
But yes, it was absolutely a male-dominated society. While I'm 100% woman, it was a 10% woman environment. So generally, I had chaired meetings as the only woman and be asked, "Where's the coffee?" and assuming that I was there to take the minutes. But that was again far between. But yes, it was a certain culture which I wasn't even aware of. I just felt that's how it was. I've been in the army for 25 years, so that's the culture I'd accepted was culture. And it wasn't until I had that awareness how wrong this was, and there's a different way. And I had one boss who was just extraordinary and showed me what leadership really was.
What's interesting with that, Lizzie, as well, Leo, great question, Leo, by the way, but a lot of women will be nodding, going, yeah, I've been in that environment. And a lot of guys will be totally oblivious to like, oh, that sounds really horrible. And yet 20 years ago, it's the same conversation with black and white. Until you've been in that position, you don't know what it feels like, gay and straight. Until you've been a gay person having to come out to your parents, you've got no idea. We've got no concept of what it is like to go and have that kind of thing. So what you're saying to bring it all out is that everyone can have courage, everyone can have that, those kind of cheerleaders behind them. And I'm just reading in the people celebrating their achievements, some lovely things that you can read here later. So Myrna's just done her, I've lost it now, celebrating making the move to join my husband in his business, which has given me time to spend time with my children, says Joe. Celebrating my bachelor degree graduation, great presenting, says Myrna. Well done, Myrna, that's amazing. So yeah, lots of different celebrations. So please, if you've got a celebration you want to put down, even so, my small celebration is that the puppy that I was puppy sitting, who's not been very well, he's better today. So a few people know that I was worried. I'm a puppy grandparent, and he's okay. So that's a small thing, but that was nothing to do with me. That's just because my daughter looked after him really well.
Yeah, did you want to ask a question? I've got your hand up.
Yeah, James.
Yeah,
I just want to say, really great presentation, Lizzie. I knew when I was going to come on here, I was going to learn something from you. But I really like what Leo had to say as well. I thought that was a really good question. But I guess that point, when it snapped for you, was that a point of self-respect that just kicked in for you? Because for me, that's like self-respect in a moment, just coming all you know, at one moment in time,
Yeah.
you know, and whereas maybe you'd not been doing that, you know.
Yeah,
Do you feel that that's what happened, or?
Absolutely. And what was interesting was I've had, you know, again through coaching, I acknowledged that when I was a child, my parents, I was rewarded for being quiet and staying, you know, just being quiet. And so it was very much stay small, stay quiet, and then then you get rewarded. So it's not until you have these moments you realize those beliefs that you set up as childhood they're like puppet strings. And it's once you've got rid of those, that's when the magic can happen. But yeah, up to that point, I suppose I wasn't responsible. I was absolutely a victim. I'm so grateful for when I was bullied, because I'm grateful for that, because it helped me who I am today. But absolutely, I was a victim. I wasn't responsible. At that moment, I decided, right, I deserve better. I'm going to be responsible. And I stood up.
Love it. Love it.
Brilliant.
Thanks.
Perfect way to leave it there. Thank you, Lizzy. That was absolutely amazing.